Nyapa drinu ha ta aba we ba dama na chi ajanke kiam ko dama na chi via de vako iko vana aba to aglatam ato kota ma akora aglaji aba drinu ha ta achi ke je ba ono agla na mie achi ba sugo mola mamle to afia ko ku gan kata la agla ma ko ta aba biji ko go ko kata la
authority so aba no ngbo do mi la agleji ba yo gbona agble da garo na mi yo dragaro yo gbona fo mo daga adomo na mi akọbọ fún gbogbo na mi ko mo mo reko situation na mi la bi fala mi ba gbagble mi dagble anya obo particular agble de mo fi na mo dagble 3 ka isi ke mo la lobuji ati ko koju.
The recent torrential rains caused more havoc.
Here there is rice under the water here, but the flood has taken over it. Me as a farmer youth have done about 9 acres and the input cost is over 5,000, but as I'm speaking I can't even pick a dime under the water. So we are in a very bad state that we can't even sleep. We have lost our sleep.
The scheme supports more than 1,200 smallholder rice farmers across 23 communities, including Abalavi, Apipe, and Klenomadi, employing hundreds more along the value chain.
The more they produce, the more we are also into processing. So now, because of the flood, processing the quantity has reduced. We've been making 180 bags per day, but now it has reduced to 50.
With the current state, farmers fear the facility faces an imminent collapse.
Without immediate intervention, the water irrigation scheme risks becoming completely non-functional. Such a development will not only affect the livelihoods of thousands of farmers' families, but also undermine government's efforts to achieve food security, reduce rice imports.
In 2023, government announced a $150 million fund from the World Bank, earmarked for infrastructure repairs, canal desilting, and dike restoration under the West African Food System Resilience Program, but nothing meaningful happened afterwards.
Due to the spillage from the Volta River Authority and other places, we were told that the money was diverted to solve other problems. And when a drought came at the northern region too, they have diverted the rest of the money. Hence, the rehabilitation which was supposed to take place in 2023 was not done. 2024 was not done.
We expend millions of Ghana cedis on rice importation annually, despite the potential schemes like the better irrigation scheme hold. If rehabilitated, this facility could provide sustainable jobs, not only that, but also support the country's effort towards food security. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News, Better.
We're taking you to the courts now, where lawyers for the former National Food Buffer Stock Company CEO have filed an application asking the court to dismiss all charges against their client, describing them as fatally defective and in contravention of his right. Hanan Abdul Wahab Alubida and his wife Faiza Seidu have been charged with multiple offenses, including stealing, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering. Our Court Affairs correspondent Lord Idwasari reports.
When the case was called on Wednesday, July 15, Principal State Attorney Accident Yanka indicated that the prosecution was ready to call its first witness after noting that disclosures had been filed. Before the trial could begin, lead counsel for Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba, Godfred Yabwadame, drew the court's attention to the arrest of the former NAFCO CEO at the airport while he was attempting to travel for medical treatment. He also raised concerns over Aludiba's subsequent 4-day detention and asked the court to issue orders against the Attorney General for allegedly disregarding previous court directives. Dami noted that despite the court granting his client's leave to travel, he was accosted under allegations of attempting to clear his frozen bank account. In response, the principal state attorney affirmed the development but noted that a motion on notice had been filed to that effect and was due to be heard on Thursday, hence urged the court to proceed with the business of the day. The presiding judge in his ruling directed the trial to begin after indicating that the court would hear the matter on Thursday. Godfred Dame then indicated to the court that the defense had filed an application to strike out the charges against Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba, noting that the charges were fatally defective and contravened his client's rights. The prosecution maintained that they were unaware of the application and had not been served with the processes. Justice Achbonga then ordered that the processes be served to the other parties and adjourned proceedings to July 20 to hear the application. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from the courts to Parliament, the minority has criticized the majority caucus for refusing to allow media coverage of the governor of the Bank of Ghana's response to parliamentary questions. The questions filed by MP for Ofuasi Arebi and ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee, Kojo Oponkroma, sought information on the source of the exchange used for the bank's intervention in the forex market, the framework guiding those interventions, and the total amount of forex injected into the market since 25 of January. However, the sitting was held in camera, denying the media access of the proceedings. Here's Kojo Oponkroma addressing journalists on the matter.
Ghana is here to admit that the ability to intervene on the market is as a result of the domestic gold purchase program. And that what they are doing is that they are mobilizing forex proceeds from the domestic gold purchase program, and those are the forex proceeds that they are using for market intermediation. Why is it that the majority is preventing the governor from saying this to the entire country? Is it because he's of the view that it undermines the stories they've been telling the people of Ghana, that it is because of the gold board and some new strategies that they have brought? Is it because the governor is here to admit on record that it is as a result of the domestic gold purchase program that they are able to mobilize these forex resources and inject onto the market? Is it because they are afraid that if that is said, it will become glaringly clear that the person responsible for this is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Is that the reason for which they are clearing the media from the gallery? In times past where the governor has been here, you have been in the chamber to cover live. Various stations have covered it live. What is it that they are afraid of that now they don't want you to cover? When the Electoral Commission chair and her team came here, many of you covered it live. It was also a committee of the whole. Yes, the rules say that we have a right to open it up or not, but you have nothing to hide. And so in the precedent gone by, it was opened to the public. And we are astonished, disappointed that they don't want the media to cover the responses that the governor is about to give.
Now, we'll still stay on this issue as the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, has defended its decision to receive the briefing from the Bank of Ghana's governor without media coverage. He stated that it is standard parliamentary practice for heads of institutions and independent constitutional bodies to appear before the Committee of the Whole to answer questions without media coverage, citing Standing Order 266 to back his argument.
That is what the rules say. Many of you have been covering this house for so many years. And you all know that apart from the ministers, all the other independent constitutional bodies that come, they come and appear before the Committee of the Whole. And you all cover this house, and you know that when the Administrator of Common Fund comes, have we allowed you to ever cover it? I'm asking you journalists, do you cover the Common Fund Administrator? Do you cover the NHRA boss? All those, and even most of the time, unless we meet and decide, when the Electoral Commissioner comes here, you don't cover the Electoral Commissioner. So the Central Bank Governor came to answer questions posed by Kojo Oponkroma, and we said that let's do what we do for all other independent constitutional bodies, which is let us sit without the media, because that's what we do for everybody. And they said, no. The media must be in. We said no. Our practice has always been that for these independent constitutional bodies, we don't hear them at plenary, and we don't do it before the cameras. And they said we had set a precedent by inviting the media to participate. The last time we invited the governor to answer questions regarding the cost of the office building of the Bank of Ghana. And so because we had set that precedent, at all times we must allow the media in. Now said, it is up to the committee to decide, because if you read our standing orders, it says in Order 266 that meetings of committees, and the Committee of the Whole is also a meeting of the committee. So it says that proceedings of a committee shall be held in public. Convenes the entire. But if you don't convince the entire committee to agree to sit in public, you cannot force the committee to sit in public. And they walked away.
And that's our package for you this morning. For more news, please check our website at 3news.com. I am Enyunam TV3 Newday continues.
Content creators and football lovers, are you ready? Creator Cycles is back with Play and Connect 3.0, the Creator Cup Jersey Edition. Get ready for an unforgettable afternoon where football passion meets content creation. Rock your favorite football jersey, challenge your friends in a PlayStation battle, enjoy arcade games, creator collaborations, amazing content creation, and the live streaming of the FIFA World Cup final on a giant screen. It's more than football. It's networking, fun, and unforgettable vibes. Hey, 19 July 2026. Time is 3 p.m. Location is Nexus 9 Lounge and Spaces, East Legon. Play and connect. Play, connect, and create. Don't hear about it. Be there.
The world around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana. The conversation on climate security implications in Ghana. The Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Quetta, Accra, starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now.
Robert Coleman is the Chief Executive for Wembley Sports Construction Company Limited, one of the important figures when it comes to the Ghana state as well. And that's, let me say good morning to the Gamanche as well. And Robert Coleman, great guy as always. All right. And then Pai Fianku, you work with engineers and planners. Chairman Prosper, Chairman Godwin Tamaklo is the Rate Group Chief Executive, as well as we have Edmond Combat of the Tema Oil Refinery and Alhaji Jibril of National. So for all those who tend to love our show, we're grateful. Yes. We're grateful. We've been doing some great work so far when it comes to the post-flooding activities, and I think I've loved the interaction, but more so the feedback. And yesterday I had a call from a significant person in Ghana, one of the top echelons of our society, and said that, yes, dealing with post-flooding trauma was an important discussion. So I think that we need to bring the expert to the studio at least within the next week to be able to discuss the things that need to be done. And he even raised issues about the insurance aspect as well, whether it will prevent insurance companies from signing on individuals within areas because they may not be too sure whether their valuables or properties, if they have to insure them, will be protected, etc. But I think it's important as well.
Yes, it is.
We've had a DVLA also come up with some new numbers, being interactions that they're having with their stakeholders so far. So they hope to at least outdoor those new numbers, and I've loved it. They look like the ones we have in the US and things. Only having a Ghanaian feel. So.
I mean, I don't think I've been for the yearly registration, as in with the year numbers, because it becomes a bit complicated when you want to get rid of your car or sell it and get a new one, because people then look at how old it has been in the system. So I think the new one will be
so you like the quotes, not the year mentioned.
No.
I think I love that. And it's one of the things that Logas, that's we have Julius Nikwe. Logas has also done well. Kote has done very well when it comes to DVLA, and I think that it has to be accepted by all and sundry. They also have a premium service. I didn't know that until I went there.
I've used their premium services before. It's quite great. Yes, you don't get to waste a lot of time.
And for beautiful, intelligent ladies like you in our society, Charlie, swiftness is all we need. What do we have for the show this morning?
Yes, today we'll be looking at the National Identification Authority, the Ghana card that was issued. So
I think I saw something in the press yesterday that was saying
the NIA issued a statement. It was posted on the social media page of the boss, and basically, if you remember, last year there were concerns about people using Ghana card for identity fraud, among others, and so there was a meeting with the banks, and the decision was that apparently the Bank of Ghana had not even permitted them, as it were, per our, I will put it simply, legislative instrument that guards the operations or the usage of the Ghana card 2111, for banks to be photocopying our Ghana cards when we go for transactions or even any other transaction that requires Ghana card. But they were doing it. And so the concerns were raised about people using the data of us, to commit fraud, among others. And so there was a directive or an understanding that they'll go into it. Now, there's been an amendment to the Act 2111, which totally forbids any organization, including banks, from photocopying. They are only allowed to use the verified, digital system of the NIA to do so without
that they are hooked on in real time.
Yes, without photocopying. And so now, if you are caught to be flouting this, as it were, you could be jailed or you could pay up to, I think, a maximum of over 2,000 Ghana cedis. And so that's what we'll be looking into, and really the implications for us and how it protects our data, as it were. You know that now data is the currency. And so we'll look into that. And also, fuel prices are expected to go up from today.
Okay.
That is the expectation. But per the predictions of COPEC, among others, it's not supposed to be a
increase.
A great increase. It's just a marginal, I think 0.56% in terms
at the
of
pumps.
yes, at the pumps. But I mean, this would sound obvious because of what's happening in the
Middle East.
US and Iran.
Overnight, there have been some exchanges.
Yes, there have been some exchanges. That's our last night. CNN was reporting 2 major strikes again of US against Iran.
Yeah.
And this has been going on since Saturday. So if it continues today, that will be like
it was also reported by 3 News as well.
Yes, so it's obvious that we would have these implications. But the good thing is that it's a slight increment. But again, if you're buying in bulk, that's when you get to see the real amount of money that you're paying. So we'll be looking into that as well.
What are you discussing for big issues?
Yeah, so these are the 2 major issues we'll be looking at. But I think
on
this morning, yes, we'll still look at the NIA thing and really get your thoughts on yesterday when we opened the WhatsApp line.
Yes.
And
so many messages.
So many messages. At the time we're living like hundreds of
blurry lines.
Yes, it was really a lot. So hopefully we have promised
we'll be able to sift through.
Yes, we have promised you that we'll be able to bring some of the
I don't envy you at all. But that said, also we had the semi-finals between England and Argentina. Already, I'm getting Peter Mensah, Deputy CEO for PSC Tema Shipyard, saying that of course he loves the song Mano G, but also says shout out to all Barca, Argentina and Messi fans. I was supporting England myself, Delight, the rest of the team. Philippine Godolph, the World Human Rescue and family organizations.
Going into the game, I wasn't sure which of the teams I supported, but I knew that England needed it so badly because the last time they had it was 1966, and so they needed. And then they scored the first goal with that young man, and then
Gordon.
The last one by Messi, which was within the bonus period or the extra time. It was
it's extra time.
I wondered how he. I mean, looking at where
it's a
he
bonus
shot
period.
I
want to expose you.
I said bonus or extra time.
Yeah, you don't like football, or you like it?
No, I like football.
Okay,
bonus or extra time. They're
I
just
forgive
giving you extra time or bonus. Yes. So I just saw how he kicked from that corner, and I was wondering how it entered. But when I watched the replay, just trying to be certain, I saw that somebody headed it into the goal. But it was really an amazing thing. And again, I always look for the facial expressions of the important people in the game, and I saw that of Harry Kane, and I saw Beckham, David Beckham.
I mean, when it was the first goal, I thought that Charlie it was a done deal for England because all they needed to do was to look at which of the countries drew with is it Cape Verde? They drew with Argentina, and then also learn from Ghana, the way we were able to defend against them.
Yeah.
So at least, and then you hold them in the middle.
Yeah.
Charlie, but I don't know. You know, sometimes, and England, every World Cup has had a theme that it's coming home, and it never went home. I thought this time they had a better chance as well. But we'll have to talk about the NIA for this morning session.
Yes. But again, just finally on the match, it was amazing the shouts that I heard when Argentina scored the second goal.
You mean across?
Yes,
in your neighborhood?
I could hear it. It was
so they have a lot of Barca fans.
Yes, people were supporting Argentina.
It's not fair. This world is not fair. Okay, so Guy G also has a concern, says that an MP that we pay with our taxes has been detained in a foreign country 2 months now, and we don't know what's going on. Our Speaker of Parliament is quiet. The party he caucuses with is quiet. CSOs are quiet. The media is quiet. I just read your message. So the media +1. So at least we read Guy G, Cantonment Accra. Good morning, bro, as well. So we have a message on our console already for our WhatsApp number.
Yes.
It's 0500 516444. Charlie, this one, oh, they too better be the machine will pick it up quickly.
Yes.
Quickly. But let's bring you a segment, this morning segment. We're talking about, significant changes or amendment made to the law that establishes the National Identification Authority. And we're going to have the Executive Secretary for the NIA, who is going to join us. And as they do, is a pure tech geek. So as a result of that, he's going to join us on stream as well. So Yayira Koko is going to join us next.
Yes. And you're welcome to this morning segment here on New Day on TV3. Yes, we're talking about the changes or the amendment made to the law that allows or guides, as it were, the usage of the National Identification Card. So that's the National Identity Register Regulations 2012, that's LI 2111. And really the fact that the major change being that officials or institutions are not allowed to photocopy your Ghana card. They're supposed to just use the biometric verifications as provided by the National Identification Authority. And we did tell you when we were on the other side of the studio that we already do have the NIA boss joining us via video call right now. So perhaps we can get his thoughts immediately. He's Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority, Mr. Wisdom Kweku Deku. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, madam, and good morning to your viewers.
So we know that this was already in the way, having raised concerns last year, I believe somewhere in March, about how people were photocopying Ghana cards and the implications for us. And already in October last year as well, we had the BOG give that express, direction, as it were, and now this amendment coming into effect. First of all, give us a bit more detail about what it means when you say that they can only, as it were, use the digital biometric verification instead of photocopying.
Good morning once again to you and your viewers. I'll just give a brief background to this. In October, as you clearly said, in October 2025, the Office of the President issued a directive or a moratorium to all MMDAs, banning all of them from purchasing what we call the AFIS. The AFIS is the Automated Fingerprint Identification System. That is the centralized system we use for capturing people's fingerprints and facial and other biometric features into a centralized system. The reason was that government noticed that some individual institutions were trying to purchase their own AFIS systems to build their own biometric system. So it was government issued that directive to ban it. The directive further went on to ask to inform MMDAs that they are to onboard onto the NIA verification platform within 6 months and stop them from doing biometric photocopying or visual inspection of the Ghana card when it comes to performance of transaction. The NIA, even though it was a government directive, we noticed that the best way to do it was to amend our LI, that is LI 2111, that was passed in 2012. Now, that LI 2111, we saw some deficiency in it. Regulation 7 said in all transactions where identification is required, the Ghana card shall be used, where it lists all the transactions like acquiring of passports, driver's license, opening bank accounts, purchasing of insurance. But it went further to say that biometric verification is only done when you have doubt about that person's identity. And we saw that that is a challenge because the only unique feature among any individual is their biometric feature. So people were doing photocopies. I remember when I assumed office, I wrote to an institution asking them that they should stop doing photocopy because that does not clearly define who that person is. I got a message, a letter response back but our law does not permit us to do biometric verification. So we went further to do the amendments, went through all the processes, consultation with the AG, went to meet the Parliamentary Subsidiary Committee on Legislation, and finally the LI was laid about 3 months ago. And that was before Parliament going on recess. So, as LI per law, it has to mature 21 days. So 21 days, got to the 21 days maturity period. Then it was finally gazetted yesterday. So what this means is that any institution or individual can, with effective that was yesterday, can no longer do photocopy or do visual inspection. Now, the main reason about it is to protect the citizens' data. We've received a lot of complaints from people talking about their data being used. A clear example is what we call the SIM card registration that was done last year. In any transaction, they are mainly in technology. There are about 3 steps involved. That is identification, verification, and authentication. Until you do the authentication aspects, you have not confirmed that person's identity. So this law is in to protect that anybody that you are performing a transaction with and is standing in front with you, is in front at you, is the real person and not a fake identity. Again, we've received some people who are trying to clone our Ghana card, the fake one. A clear case of a man who went to guarantee for someone and he was told to bring his Ghana card. The people came back with the Ghana card, clone it, and they just did a photocopy, put it down, and waiting for any issue before they confirm from the NIA system. Now, here's the case that they were trying to get the person and they couldn't reach out. So what they did was to send the photocopy card to us. That when we check from our system, that card did not exist. So it's just a matter of what we are trying to do it's just a matter of to protect everybody's data.
You talk about the LI maturing and the fact that it's come into effect immediately and institutions are expected to comply. How do you intend to implement this immediate, directive, as it were? Because in that statement that was posted on your socials, I believe, as well, you said that of institutions that needed onboarding onto your system had to apply for it.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for that question. Laws are made for the people and the people have to operate it. And if you check my statement, I said that the Honorable Minister responsible for the National Identification Authority, that is the Honorable Minister for Interior, Honorable Muntaka, will be addressing the media very soon, and he will clearly come out with a roadmap of the implementation. Yes, it takes effect immediately, but as he clearly said, a lot of people have not been onboarded yet. So I'm sure during this press conference, he will give a clear roadmap, timelines that everybody needs to be onboarded. And again, in my social media, I gave an email address where people can start the onboarding. The onboarding takes roughly about two weeks. We've added more staff because we know that a lot of people will start applying, so that we can expedite it for people to be onboarded onto our verification platform.
The last time that we had a major conversation on protecting the data of Ghanaians, I believe, was in 2024, in the middle of 2024, when we had the Honorary Vice President of Imani Africa accusing the NIA and indeed the government of not having access to even the design of the card itself, and the fact that the foreign company that we contracted actually had virtually access to everything we needed, and if we needed access, we needed to keep paying. That should be a major concern to you as the authority in terms of our data compromised in a foreign land. To what extent have you dealt with that issue that was raised earlier, beyond the immediate statements that was issued to counter that claim?
I don't know where that is coming from, because, I myself am a cyber person, and I know the implication of data and importance of how such information are put out. Because as we sit now, the NIA system is on-premise. It's not in a cloud, and it's not handled by any private partners. There are technical partners are in there to help us. Their scope is for the registration and the verification platform, and everything is hosted at the NIA office premises, where we have staff who are handling it. Yes, we have technical partners who are in it, but to their level of privilege is to an extent that there are audit trails and everything. So if anybody gets into the system, we are able to predict. But for now, what happens is that NIA is the sole custodian of the database.
When you say to an extent, to what extent?
To the extent what I'm talking about is that we have the sole privileges in handling the system, and it is on our premise. Before everybody can log into the system, there should be what we call the handshake from both parties before it is allowed. and even to when it's allowed. Our system is built on biometric verification and not a lookup. So, for example, I cannot just get into, or anybody can just get into it and type in the name of a person and just the person's data comes out. It's set up for only a privileged few who have gone through the security background in terms of, for example, we will often receive data requests from security institutions and basically backed by a court order asking us for the details of an individual. Those ones are in searching for those records. It's not done by our private partners. It's done by the NIA qualified IT experts who have been trained to perform such jobs.
And again, when you were talking, you mentioned or you gave examples of some fake Ghana cards that were already identified. What kind of system is in place to flash out these fake cards, all towards the effort of protecting the data of Ghanaians?
That's the main reason why we have the LI has been passed. What that means is that you have to do biometric verification, either facial or fingerprint, to just cross-check from the NIA system to see whether the holder of that Ghana card is authentic or fake. Once you do that and the card is fake, it will return an error. That means that that card the person is using is fake. And the reason why we are saying that, just don't look visual inspection of the Ghana card to grant somebody any service that you want to do. Just do the biometric verification, and it can be done either through a fingerprint or either a facial. And we have an API. So for example, if TV3 or Media General have a software, we can just give them an API that they can integrate it into their system, and it will be able to do either facial or facial for them. And alternatively, if they want to have devices, we have a list of devices that we can also give it to them to also get to be able to do the verification.
Well, importantly, we've had, it looks like, some great accolades and commendations coming from some of our viewers. And so we'll read that after 3 or 4 questions I have to pose for you. And importantly, it's good that you've done this amendment. But there have always been discussions about trying to tie in the NIA database with elections for voters significantly. How far have we gone with that, and is it probable or possible using your NHIA card to vote in the next elections or thereafter?
Using the NIA card, sorry, not the NHIA. Okay, so thank you for that. As part of the LI, one of the transactions that requires that you use your Ghana card to do is the Ghana card. So even when you're going to do voters registration, you should be able to use your Ghana card to do it. It's possible. The reason being that NIA is collecting data from, we started from 15 years and above, and now we are even doing 6 years up to infinity. 0 to 5 is also coming up next, where when a child is born, the child can easily be issued an identity number. The challenge that we may find with the NIA may have to do with the person's residence. It means that at the end of the day, if you look at the EC, it talks about they compiling a register. So when it says compiling a register, it does not necessarily mean that they should go out there to do the registration. They can fall on NIA for the NIA that NIA, we want all people who are 18 years above, generate from your system and send it to us. We can give it to them, but the issue will be where they have to vote, because with the EC, you have to register at a particular polling station that you want to vote. But the NIA and the EC's polling stations are totally different. So for example, if we come to TV3 and Roland registers at TV3 and have his Ghana card, that may not be the place that Roland Walker registers may want to vote. So I think it's something that the NIA and the EC may have to discuss and see how we can amend certain things. But in terms of generating the data, we will be able to generate it. But the only issue will be about where the person can vote.
And it's good you say you're a cyber person. So if we want to commence the discussions and then end it, particularly with the electoral body, the EC, how long would it take, or should it take ideally?
I think it shouldn't be a big problem, because what will happen is that even in the NIA is now introducing what we call our dynamic updates. Roland, I'm sure where you registered, say your circumstance may have changed within a period. And if you look at our Act 750, I think clause 36, it talks about circumstance and updates of your information, where it says that when your circumstance change within 30 days, you must notify an NIA so that you can update your record. So what this means is that we may have to put structures in place so that residential areas, they can NIA can put in something that we need to amend our do some update on our system, and EC may have to. It may take a while, but for me, in going to 2028, I don't think it will may be possible because a lot of things needs to be done, and it's political season. If you ask Roland to go and update where he wants to register with the NIA, so that means the person has to go to NIA and register where he wants to vote, or update his record where he or she wants to vote, and we may have to fall on EC and get all their registration centers. And don't forget that before EC comes out with the registration centers, they need to gazette it. So it means that they need to gazette it, give the names of the people, and it will take a while.
All right. The next question, I said 4. The next one is about, I'm told in China, and as well as others in the developed world, you significantly can use your identity that is issued, whether it's in the US, to undertake transactions. For example, in China, I'm told you use your hands or something, or your finger.
Palm.
Okay, great. Is it possible in Ghana to just use the NHIA card to amalgamate everything and every transactions, whether it's Momo, etc., directly on it, embedded in one card?
Very, very, very possible. And I can tell you that discussions are ongoing, and very soon you will hear from the NIA. It's not only China, Singapore, and other countries, advanced countries are doing it. You see, when your identity is tied to your transaction, especially when it's anchored on biometric system, it makes it secure. Once the NIA is able to activate its e-wallet, what it means is that Roland can perform transactions cashlessly. And once we do it, it means that over 19 million people who have registered with the NIA will be able to perform transactions. Now, take, for example, the reason why the NIA one will be more secured is because of its biometric features. If today, I'm able to get Roland Walker's ATM and I know his PIN, I can just get into an ATM or go to any shop to perform transaction without his knowledge. But once the NIA one comes on board, what it means is that everything has to be done through biometric. So it means that if I even see Roland Walker's Ghana card, it's completely useless because I cannot use it to perform any transaction unless I go and find a way to cut his hand or his face and be using it to do the verification.
And so you said discussions have begun. In that regard, with who and who? Which institutions?
Basically, in fact, 2 days ago, we were with the Bank of Ghana to have the discussion with them. The next institution we are going is GIPS, that's the Ghana Interpayment Platform. I think they have the infrastructure. So we've had a discussion, and very soon things will put in shape, and I will announce it to the media.
Okay. The next one will also be about I know that provided in the law, registration for foreigners as well. If you take the quota of the numbers that are sitting in your database, they might have increased by now. How much are they? And then the quota for the foreigners, how much are they?
As at yesterday, the NIA has registered over 19.7 million. That excludes, that is from 15 years and above. And when it comes to the 6 to 14, we have close to about almost 600,000. Then for foreigners, we have over 240,000 foreigners. And when it comes to Ghanaians living abroad, we are close to about 2,000. The law mandates us to register Ghanaians living abroad. And so far today, we are officially setting up a center in Spain. That will add up to the 13 abroad registration centers we have. We intend to expand it to various places. For example, when you get to UK, we are the High Commission. Now, it means that the Ghanaians in Manchester and everywhere needs to come to the High Commission. So what we intend to do is partner with the private people so that we can set it up across the whole in the UK, Manchester, and other places, so that Ghanaians, they don't need to walk all over to the High Commission to do the registration. And don't forget that when we set up at the foreign registration, I must state that when we set it up at the foreign registration, it's not the NIA staff that we send out there. The embassy staffs are the ones that do the registration and basically do the printing of the Ghana card, because you are only registered online via our register.nia.gov.gh. And we have a team here in Ghana that will do the interview and pass you. If you are okay, then you only take the a barcode, QR code to the registration center for biometric capture and instant issuance of the card. So that is it.
Okay. So I asked a question about the total numbers we have now on the card, updated, of
Yes,
the database, so to speak.
So that I think I stated that that's 19 million, over 19.8 million Ghanaians have been registered so far, and foreigners is about 250,000.
The last one I have is a consumer person raising a concern. He says that why do we need to produce paper birth certificates when we already have them for the National Identification Authority, or we have all bio details embedded on the card for the National Identification Authority?
Come again. Produce. I think in
when you go to register birth, they give you a paper certificate.
Yes.
If you have a Ghana card, why do you need to be given that?
One of our documents that we need to do the registration is your birth certificate. So we don't use your Ghana card to go and get the birth cert, but rather you use your birth certificate to come to get the Ghana card. So it's the other way around.
So what I'm asking is, can we invert the system then? That is the National Identification Authority that will have to register then directly from birth.
Okay, so for the national identification is an identity document to prove your nationality as a Ghanaian. And if you are aware that the birth certificate is not a proof of citizenship as ruled by the Supreme Court. Yes, so we can't incorporate it into the same thing. And as I said, we are working closely, and maybe next month we are working with the Ghana Health Service and Birth and Death to start with the 0 to 5, where when a child is born at the hospital, the child can be issued an identity number, so that when it attains the 6 years, it can go to any of our registration centers to register for the physical Ghana card.
There's also another question coming in from one of our viewers about the process, how long it takes for you to update your information on your Ghana card, for instance.
Update your information on the Ghana card.
So
the process is instantly, yes.
It's instant, okay.
Yes, it's instant.
Okay, perhaps my last question as well. In your statement yesterday, you did mention that we should be expecting the sector minister, and you clarified here being the Interior Minister, the Honorable Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, to be addressing us soon. You haven't given us any specificity. Do we have an idea within the next week, 2 weeks, when he should be updating us on all these details?
In the coming week, he's currently out of town, so when he comes, I'm sure by next week or so, or latest by in the 2 weeks time, we should be address the general public through your medium. And I think what he's basically going to tell us about the roadmap, the enforcement and other things, so that everybody can come on board and do the biometric verification. Let me state that this is not a punishment to the Ghanaians or citizens. It is something that we need to do to protect your data. Somebody should not scan your Ghana card and keep it, because you don't know what that person's may use that data to do again. And with NIA, what you do is that your verification means that when you do the biometric verification, it means that you are giving your consent for the person to access your data to verify that you are the true owner of the Ghana card.
All right, we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Mr. Wisdom Kweku-Deku, Executive Secretary for the National Identification Authority.
Well, we have a couple of messages. We'll go to our WhatsApp console, but in the meantime, also others also been expressed. And Nortedua, clinical psychologist, is raising concerns, particularly about us taking too long in trying to merge the various platforms and then utilize the National Identification Authority database for many transactions. And particularly, he says, we've taken too long. Technology is galloping. And then he wanted us to ask a question on syncing it with GRA, SNIT, DVLA, passport. So we also asked a question related to the seamless way that they need to sync everything. He said discussions are ongoing so far. We also have one of our regular watchers, Nana Awonfehene, who is the station manager for the Total station at the end of the Temakra motorway, just close to the China Mall, just close to the Ashaiman and Tema area, says it's important that he's given us this education, but they also need to make sure that registrations go on speedily as possible. And Master Planner Junior, policy analyst, says that the NIA is one of the institutions that is really working so well, devoid of so much talking and limited politics. Kudos to the CEO and the team. As for the fuel increment, it is not because of the USA and the Middle East war. It is because of the bad governance. That's Master Planner Junior.
There's a message coming from Sherry Giovanni. He says, good morning to you, Beatrice. And he says, biometric verification of Ghana card. I think the verification of the Ghana card biometrically is a good move. People are just picking other people's card without their consent to do registrations and other transactions. I just want to find out whether there's a window where people can take away or add other names to the ones they already have on their Ghana card. Yes, we asked about updating your information, and he did say that yes, and it is also immediate. It won't take you time at all. So I guess you've had your question answered. Thank you very much, Sherry Giovanni, for your message. And yes, Roland, I think there's more.
Well, so we have a couple of messages. So we'll just read this one. Okay, this one says that it's his birthday, but no name there. Okay. So an art teacher at Otumfuo Osei Tutu College says that it's his birthday. So happy birthday to you. You didn't leave your name. So next time, make sure you leave your name. So I have listened to this. Oh, sorry. So the Honorable Abilele Spirit in Atunsu. It's your birthday. Happy birthday to you. And thank you for always staying tuned to TV3 Newday. And Master Planner Junior, you found your way here as well. You're all over, multiple.
The same message.
Okay, so, all right, so you did send your message here as well. Please, my concern is our water situation in Adenta Commando, Ashie, and many of those surrounding areas. That's from Jaff. Jaff says that they have water issues, but also please make sure you send messages related to the discussions as well, so that we are all in tune and in sync when it comes to the related matters up for discussion. And Michael Tokro, watching us live from Chado, also says that some great work is being done right here. Eben from Kwabenya. So does it mean that every time there's a change of government, Ghanaians need to join long queues for SIM card registration? Why all these disturbances? Leaders hoping that things will be better. And also says a number of good mornings to many people, including Peter Agbo of Ghana East as well. On the issues of the Ghana card photocopy, what happened to institutions who do not have the NIA database, and how will they verify the identity of client? James Atiga from Tamale sent us this message. We asked that question, and it says that they are working with those institutions to make sure that the syncing is done.
And also those who don't have access should apply.
Exactly. And it's the reason why they've done the amendment. And so the institutions will have to be in conformity.
Yes.
I mean, basically that's what. And then from Solomon Amponsa Dako, also sends a message, says that he would be grateful if we gave him a feedback from the national sanitation that took place in Ghana, specifically that of Accra, Agbobloshi Market and Co. I think we were there about 2-3 days ago, but we'll still do that because we're doing the post-flooding conversations, and we'll continue as and when we're able to also focus on the related subject matters beyond just the mainstream flooding. Please, let's reach out. Okay, so It says, let it reach our government that they should work hand in hand with all the telecommunication companies in tracking down fraud and hookups, okay, because we are gradually losing our moral lives in our various society, and that's from Swansea in Somanyam. The new law is a good call if it won't have a negative effects on us by, okay, so there's a message also coming from Napoleon in Tumu, Sankofa Base. And then this one from Albert Brumper in Ashaliboche says that he perfectly, he perfectly agrees with the NHIA. This will deal with criminals as well as other related issues. And then keep me anonymous. Okay, you are anonymous. So you said what the company as well as the platform is doing some great work. Please ask the Interior Minister what he's doing about the rent allowances that are due security personnel. Because security personnel in Ghana are facing a lot of rent issues and would need their allowances to settle their bills. And the recruitment messages of the Ghana National Fire Service that they are sending to applicants since yesterday. Some of them have, okay, you are saying some of the recruits or those candidates who have qualified have still not received their messages from the Ghana National Fire Service regarding the recruitment exercise. And that is coming from a viewer from Aplau, that's Dennis Doe. And the row and B, the NIA decision is well received. Queuing for verification before another queue for the teller at GCB. Why GCB alone? Is bad. All the banks, you have to make sure you go through. Can our messages be displayed below the screen since it's too many? Okay, so then we'll have to display it below the screen. So we'll copy and then we will paste them as it is, or even sync. We have a system where we can sync, and that's Charles from Hull giving us a feedback from a viewer. I think that it makes a lot of sense because the messages are too many. I agree with you. Noah Tete says that I think the decision and the law is in line because now most customers that are registered and having the Ghana card will be relieved from carrying their Ghana card to banks and other offices, etc. I think this is a good move, and the government must continue doing the good work. And that is coming from, okay, he says greetings to his people in Sapo, Ajina, Dono, in the Sujamine district. All right. So we have a number of individuals as well also sending messages.
Yes.
And so we have this one. Also, it's your birthday. Ernestina Edubakon of Nungwa Polyclinic. You're loved by your best friend, Joyce, and her sisters as well.
And Prince Henry Koforidia says greetings to us and is reminding us that
Prince Henry, I think he's contesting some position like that.
Communication officer hopeful for
Prince Henry Koforidia. We wish all the best.
Alhaji, is it Bini Shuri? You know how to mention
Alhaji
it properly.
Bini Bushele.
Yes, he says
and
he's watching us live from Saveli.
All those residents in the Kingdom of Dagbang, condolences to you. Nana Gazor, you've come up with a great track in honor of the late Yana as well. We'll play it one of these days.
Yes,
we're taking a break.
We remind you to pack up your day. Of course, the Milky Way with rich, smooth taste of peck milk shortcake. It is just pure delight. And you can find this in all grocery shops near and far away. Stay with us. We're back with the big issue and some more.
Content creators and football lovers, are you ready? Creator Cycles is back with Play and Connect 3.0, the Creator Cup Jersey Edition. Get ready for an unforgettable afternoon where football passion meets content creation. Rock your favorite football jersey, challenge your friends in a PlayStation battle, enjoy arcade games, creator collaborations, amazing content creation, and the live streaming of the FIFA World Cup final on a giant screen. It's more than football. It's networking, fun, and unforgettable vibes. Hey, 19 July 2026. Time is 3 p.m. Location is Nexus 9 Lounge and Spaces, East Legon. Play and connect. Play, connect, and create. Don't hear about it. Be there.
The world around us is changing, not slowly, not quietly. In the north, the rains that once arrived on time don't come anymore. In the middle belt, rivers and forests disappearing overnight. Along the coast, the sea is swallowing land that families have called home for generations. Rising temperatures, failed harvests, homes lost to tides. This is not a warning about tomorrow. This is the world right now. TV3 and the German Embassy in Ghana, the conversation on climate security implications in Ghana, the Climate Talks 2026. 5 cities, 5 conversations, 1 urgent call to action. Tamale, Bolgatanga, Kumasi, Keta, Accra, starting this June 2026. The climate talks are coming, and this time, the people most affected by Ghana's climate security crisis will be at the center of it all. Because the time for Ghana to act is now. In a world full of noise, clarity matters. Stories shape us, ideas challenge us, and honest dialogue moves us forward. This is a space for depth, where voices are heard and perspectives matter. Conversations with Dr. Abnanya Kwasmini, coming soon on TV3.
TV3.
And you're still here on Newday on TV3. Welcome to The Big Issue. My name is Beatrice Edu. This morning, we'll be looking at the amendment done to the LI that guides the usage of the Ghana card. That's the LI 2111. And one of the major changes made is that now institutions cannot photocopy your Ghana card because of a number of issues that were raised from March, and we saw the changes that were made even up to October. And now this LI, the amendments matured, and we heard the NIA Executive Secretary giving us some details yesterday and of course this morning as well. We'll be going into it and to what extent really this gets to protect our data, and we'll also look at the fact that fuel prices are expected to go up today, and we'll look into that, the factors. We understand that, of course, you know what's happening within the Middle East, but basically as well, the Ghana cedi has apparently depreciated by some 0.56%, and so we should be expecting some marginal increase in fuel prices, and we'll be going into that in terms of the impact it could have on the cost of living. So once again, thank you very much for joining us on the program. I am joined in the studio now by Mr. Kwame Botio. He's a private legal practitioner and our regular panel member as well. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning to your listeners as well.
Indeed. I'm also joined in the studio by Mr. Nelson Kujo, finance and tax expert. It's great to have you here. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Soon we should be joined by Mr. Alikem Kotoko, Deputy CEO of the Forestry Commission, as well as Mr. Aaron Esiedu, who is a national communications team member of the opposition NPP. They should be joining us very shortly. And hopefully, probably we may have the NIA Executive Secretary join us again in the course of the conversation. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. I want to start with you, Lawyer Botio. I don't know whether you had the opportunity to listen to the NIA Executive Secretary when we had him earlier on this morning's segment, but of course, he was explaining to why there was a need to have the amendment that institutions, even when they had been warned that they couldn't photocopy the Ghana card because of the implications it could have in terms of compromising our data. They said that the law didn't provide anywhere that they had to only biometrically verify. You're a lawyer yourself. What's your understanding, really, of where we are now?
I think it's a step in the right direction. The LI 2111 of 2012 has been amended. And this is an amendment that has far-reaching advantages. I know that the institutions were reluctant because with the old regime of photocopy, it was, I suppose it was cheaper. It was cost efficient. All you had to do was just photocopy the Ghana card, store it in a file somewhere. But with this regime, you have to onboard onto the NIA system. You need to invest in biometric machines. Under the old regime, a lot of data from the Ghana card was captured. But realistically, all you need to verify somebody's identity is the name and the date of birth, which is what is being provided by this new system. It is a step in the right direction. It will reduce a lot of duplication of the Ghana cards, because you know that some may raise the concern that what if the NIA database is hacked? However, compare that to the various institutions. They may also have systems in place to avoid hacking of their database, but the NIA is bound to have a stronger defense mechanism. You can just imagine all our data, all the photocopies of our Ghana cards in the banks and various places if it was to get into the wrong hands. And we also know that they make physical copies and put them on files. And these files, anything can happen to them. It can get into the wrong hands. So this is a very, very good idea. I must commend the authorities for doing this. It will avoid a lot of fraud, a lot of duplication. I suppose the institutions may be thinking of how it will raise their costs, because now you have to invest in biometric machines.
But that's a one-time purchase.
Exactly. But you know, some of the small businesses who will need to verify will have to buy these machines, depending on how many branches they have. But it is worth the cost, because the owners, the workers of those institutions, they also have Ghana cards. And this is a cost that will benefit all of us. This is a policy that will benefit all of us. It's a step in the right direction. And I hope it's rolled out to many other aspects of our data protection.
We heard the Executive Secretary of the NIA this morning tell us that this is going to be immediate in terms of the implementation. But you're aware that it's not all institutions that are currently on the system. How realistic is this timeline of immediate implementation when we know the other side of it?
From the information available to me, onboarding is quite simple. basically you apply through there is a place, I think that is an email address. I just saw it somewhere here.
Yes, he attached it to the message he posted yesterday on his social media.
Exactly. And we all know that email is immediate. So these institutions should, that is, yes, I think it's ID verification at nia.gov.gh. And we all know how email works. This is also a very good way to fast track things. You are not required to come to the NIA office and go through long procedures, join a queue. So I think that if anything, the institutions had notice. It has been passed now, but before it had passed, there had been various notices given. And I think that the institutions that are serious prepared for this, so it shouldn't cause a problem to any of the serious institutions.
It shouldn't cause a problem to any of the serious institutions. You see, I would ask you one more question before I come to the rest of the panel, but let me acknowledge the presence of Mr. Aaron Esiedu, NPP National Communications Team member. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
I wanted to ask you again before I come to you, Mr. Nelson. Based on the current value of penalty unit of 12 Ghana cedis, institutions that breach the law could face fines ranging from 6,000 Ghana cedis to 24,000 Ghana cedis upon summary conviction. Also, individuals who contravene the regulations could be fined between 600 and 6,000 Ghana cedis. Is this punitive enough?
I think it's punitive enough. I think it's because hopefully the maximum fine will be imposed. 24,000 cedis, even in the books of the biggest bank, it's still a fairly large amount. And for individuals, 6,000 cedis is also a fairly large amount. And that will help us have the necessary compliance between the citizenry and the state. And I'm also hoping that it will even go beyond to affect citizens who compromise and make their Ghana cards available to the institutions. Because if it's been criminalized, then both parties who engage in it should be guilty.
How are you going to catch the citizens who ideally should be the ones complaining that the institution forced me to photocopy my ID?
Yes, so you, the citizen, have to refuse.
No, I'm just saying that it should also work both ways. That's what you're saying. But if I'm the citizen and I'm concerned about my data protection, then if you force me to photocopy, I would have issue. But if I'm the one photocopying for you, I will not go and report myself. So who catches me to report to the institution?
Well, but I'm sure various audits will be carried out. There may be spot checks at the institutions from now on. NIA officials may just barge into your institution, check your files, and if they realize there are photocopies, then those who are found to have granted those photocopies and those who have found to have demanded those photocopies both have a case to answer.
I want to come to you, Mr. Nelson, finance and tax expert. I was saying earlier that we didn't just get here. In March of last year, there was a meeting where the BOG made it clear that it had not authorized any institution to, as it were, photocopy people's Ghana cards. And subsequently, in September, the NIA announced the amendments, which has matured now. The reason it talks about the immediate implementation of it. And the Bank of Ghana issued the supervisory guidelines in October 2025. We heard lawyer talk to us about the fact that there's been enough time to, as it were, get serious institutions not in trouble in terms of implementing this. Where do you stand on this?
Well, thank you very much. Once again, good morning and good morning to my colleagues here. Well, I think that the implementation itself is not a challenge because most of these institutions, they have the infrastructure already. What the issue has been is that you go to wherever you want to transact a business and they'll ask you, oh, do you have a photocopy of your, Ghana card? Meanwhile, the word biometrics itself means that your biological data. So at the point that you are able to do your transaction, your biometrics is supposed to be taken, either your facial has to be taken, your fingerprint has to be taken, or any part of your body that has to be taken to authenticate the personality who is actually transacting the business. Don't forget that biometric verification is all about verification of trust. I want to trust that the person doing the business with me, whose data I am capturing, is the right person in front of me. And so I think that the whole idea, the whole program is a good idea, but then the implementation itself is where the issue may be, because we know in Ghana it's not everybody who is having the Ghana card that will be verified in terms of the biometric data.
We heard him talk about over 19 million so far registered as at the last check.
Yes, and in Ghana, the population about 34, 35 million, which means that there is a huge number out there that has to be verified. Well, I think the whole program is a very good idea, as my senior brother said, because number one, we are trying to prevent what you call identity fraud, most especially in business transaction. People chanced on people's Ghana card or biometric data and actually use them for fraudulent activities. And so if I give you my Ghana card or photocopy of my Ghana card, there are so many things that you can actually do with my identity and my information. And so in order to curb that identity fraud, and we have seen in the recent past that even in the banking sector, we have heard of some fraudulent activities. In international business transaction, we have heard of fraudulent activities. Even on personal basis, people use other people's identity to perpetrate crime. And so in order to prevent this identity fraud, it is important that once you are there to transact a business, then you must be verified personally, so that if it is your facial expression, I don't remember the last time I went to a bank where they asked me of my photocopy. They always check my my fingerprints, or they will say, okay, could you position your face very well? Then they will capture your face. And so I think for the banking sector, I think largely most of them are complying with the verification, as in you go there and they pick your data there and then. So I think it's a step in the right direction that will actually prevent identity fraud. Again, misuse of personal information. You see, somebody can charge on your Ghana card and use it for something untoward. I have had a situation where a gentleman's Ghana card was lost. I saw it on the ground. I don't really know which number to call, but then I just shared it on certain social media platforms, and eventually the gentleman contacted me. So, protection of personal data, most especially business data, is very key, because the Ghana card, we don't only use it for banking transaction. Even if you go to GRA, as a result of the Ghana card, the tax identification number was off now. So when you go to GRA, they will ask you of your Ghana card for any transaction. If you go to any institution of higher academic study, they also ask you of your identity. Even if you are applying outside Ghana for any school or something, apart from the passport, they also require for your national ID card. So it means that the biometric verification is very, very important. Now, what is also going to happen is that sometimes when you go to some of the institutions and they can't verify you because the system is down, they will ask you to run a photocopy. Now, what we mean is that if there is no photocopy in the enclave where you are, then that institution, whether it's a bank or business sector, will be required to run the photocopy themselves. And that will add up to their operational cost, because imagine you run photocopy for 10 or 15 people in a day, cumulatively throughout the year. I mean, your inventory regarding, printing will go up. And so I think it's a step in the right direction. The only issue is that we should have a consistent, uninterrupted system where people can be verified. Because when you go to the bank or whatever institution you are going and they say the system is down, then there is a problem. Because when the system is down, the only way they can verify you is to take the photocopy of your Ghana card, so that once the system comes up, then they can, key in whatever they intend to do. But I think largely we need to make sure that the system are up, the system are running, so that we may not have any interruption along the chain.
So that's what you meant by challenges with the implementation.
Exactly. If the network or the system is not, in fact, even sometimes you go to some of the banks, they will tell you the network is down. And so when it happens that way, you also need a cash there and then for a certain business transaction, or to pay your suppliers outside the country, or even pay your workers through Momo, then it becomes challenging. And so we need to make sure that the IT infrastructure, the network infrastructure, supporting the live rollout of, the biometric verification, it has to standard in order not to, cut off or, challenge the system, even as we want to better it.
Let me acknowledge the presence of Mr. Elikem Kotoko, Deputy CEO, the Forestry Commission. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Good to be here. I want to get your thoughts as well, Mr. Siedu. Really on this, the amendments, the fact that it's come into effect, and any institution that flouts it should have itself to blame.
Beatrice, thank you very much. Today is not really a good day for me. If you clearly see, I'm in black. A very good brother of mine has lost their mother, and we are having a one-week celebration at Achima Pidua. So right after the show, I'm moving there. Our condolences to you. Thank you, thank you. After getting this topic from Shadrach yesterday... You can't have 1 week celebration. You can only have 1 week observation. Observation, sorry. Sorry, observation. So after getting this topic yesterday, a lot of thoughts started running. I have some couple of issues I would want Council to address for me this morning. But first, I asked myself, is this the Ghana card Kufuor started, the continued, then Baumia amplified, which somewhere on the 23rd of July 2018, we had then their General Secretary, now National Chairman, telling them to boycott the Ghana card. At least we've gotten to a point that today, under an NDC administration, we are having an amendment to enhance the security of this card. It is very important that we ensure that at every material point in time, we enhance security, because this fraud and others would affect when the fraud is coming. It doesn't know whether Beatrice is a broadcast journalist, Aaron is MPP, lawyer is he or not. So we must actually push for that amendment. But my question is, when we are making laws, we should always remember that laws are made for the people, not necessarily we just putting it on them without informing them. Council mentioned that they had already engaged businesses, but taking my time to read the amendment, you get to know that individuals are also going to be penalized for this. My question is that if you go to the street, if you even surf through Facebook and social media, you would admit to the fact that the Ghanaian people are not necessarily in tandem or conversant or even in the know of whatever amendment that is coming.
Is that not why we're having this conversation
as part of education? But you implement it before, after implementation, before you now publicize it or speak about it. When somebody is caught, ignorance of the law indeed is no excuse. But the person has not heard of this law coming through to be implemented. You've already implemented it and you are going to town. And you see the second phase is coming, that is coming with regards to this implementation is that now I cannot make photocopy. Photocopy ordinarily is not illegal. We should admit that because the Evidence Act makes provision for photocopy. But if you are now excluding it from Ghana card to enhance verification whatsoever, the point is now you are going to increase costs of business. Because if I'm an individual operating a business and I need verification, I need to buy these items or these verification materials to ensure that I comply with the law. But if by now I don't know that this law is being implemented. Or
you don't know as in a business or as an individual?
An individual running a business, because an individual can run a sole proprietor business. Do you agree?
Go ahead.
Such an individual now caught up with the law, how does the person even get away or even explain him or herself? That is a problem I would want him to address, because we've been in this country couple of times we get to hear of laws after they have been implemented. The consultation does not go down, but the laws are going to be implemented to affect private individuals in the society. And so, Council, I would appreciate if you would address these concerns, because for me, but for reading the communique on the CEO's, is it the CEO or Director General's Facebook wall?
The Executive Secretary of the NIA.
I wouldn't have even known that there is this amendment coming. But as a law-abiding citizen, I'm going to abide with it. But I'm only thinking about the many individuals in business who this is going to bring a cost to their business, which certainly they were going to pass that cost to the final consumer who will be patronizing their services. If they are not in the known today, they are caught. What then happens to them?
I think, Lawyer Bochio,
Yes.
the nuances, he's asking about the nuances of the law when it comes to implementing something, and as an ordinary citizen, I don't know, are there any nuances that could be used to the advantage of those who might not know, in as much as we have a general law that says that ignorance of the law is not an excuse? Yes.
So, certainly, this law comes into effect immediately. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And when Aaron was speaking, I realized that he was asking about the education and all that. We all know that the NCCE, the Information Services Department, the media, they speak about all these things a lot. However, when you are arrested for a crime, and now doing this is a crime, there are two elements of a crime. That's the mens rea and the actus reus. The actus reus is the act itself, and the mens rea is the idea behind
the intention.
The intention. It is true that there may be somebody in a village somewhere operating a small business. The news has not reached him because of network problems. He probably doesn't even get TV coverage. This person today may photocopy somebody's
national
ID. When it gets to the court will not look at just the act, but the mind behind it, and whether this person had a reasonable access to this information. It does not mean that the person will be let go totally. But when it comes to sentencing, we do have the minimum sentence ranging from 600 Ghana cedis to 6,000 for individuals, 6,000 to 24,000 for corporate institutions. The court can look at all these factors and decide that this person did not do this with any criminal intent, but genuinely did not know that this law had been passed. And the court has the discretion to find this person not guilty. However, if the court feels that you should have gone the extra step as a business operating at a level where you demand people's verification, to be up to date with the laws. In that sense, the court will probably just give you the minimum sentence. So I suppose that there isn't really a way out when it comes to crimes. However, the punishing institution, the implementing institution, does have a discretion when it comes to sentencing to look at the mind with which you did it.
Counsel, my last question. You don't think that NIA has done the Ghanaian people a great disservice when you have a communication bureau at the institution? You know the state of NCC.
I think that's a question that should go to the executive secretary, and we're hoping that...
You are not working with NIA?
No, we are hoping...
But you would agree with me that they have done Ghanaians a great disservice by not educating...
He's a private... He's a private legal practitioner. We had the executive secretary join us on the This Morning segment. We're hoping that he can join us very briefly again just to answer some of these specific issues. But Mr. Elikem Kotoko, you're welcome again. Let me get your thoughts on really, especially the concern that he's raising about NIA, doing us a disservice. If you knew that you wanted to implement this immediately, you could have done a bit of education through the NCCE, like Council said, among other avenues.
Yeah, thank you. And good morning to all of us once again. Indeed, I must commend the NIA and the Executive Secretary in particular for taking this very bold step in ensuring that what needs to be done to protect the Ghanaian against fraud and all other forms of miscreant behavior in terms of identity theft, etc., are kept. My brother asked a question if it was this same Ghana Kada, President Kufuor, etc., and all that. May I let him know that the LI 2111 was actually brought into force in 2012, and I pray that he knows who was president or in government in 2012. I'm just stating the fact for you. Then the development of the system entirely was actually in 2013 right? Where it was started, the registration process was started. All the MPP did, you must be made to know, is that you came to launch something that was already prepared for you in 2017. And then, painfully, you were over rooftops screaming Mr. Digitalization, who ran away from economy, and then he suddenly moved to digitalization. But he never saw the need to protect the interest, to protect to enhance the security of the Ghanaian. And then there's another same NDC that has come to power now and realized the need to enforce these things to ensure the safety of the Ghanaian. And you think you want to ask if it is the same Ghana card that President Kufuor started. So I'm just letting him know that LI 2111 was in 2013. I guess President Kufuor was not the president, 2012. And I hope he knows who was president in 2012 and should not even dare mention President Kufuor, because wherever President Kufuor is, he'll be feeling embarrassed being roped into this in any way at all. So that is just for the records. I think that education is very key. And like Council rightly said, offenses relating to these will be weighed even if it goes to court, as to the intention behind what somebody has done, amongst other things. And I believe that this is a good thing because many a times, probably all of us on this platform have been victims or suffered some injustice or ill treatment based on that. You go here because you believe that a company you are engaging with or an institution should have the database. And some institutions, too, out of trying to cut corners and have things done softer, they just want to run a photocopy. Meanwhile, they could get boarded onto the system so that they assess it. I want to also believe that when you onboard the system, there could be a way that even when systems are off, you could still have access. Because you and I could, you could install an app on your phone. There's a certain extent to which you could still use the app even if you do not have internet access. So those are the enhancement features we should use. So when my brother wants to bring in politics, I'm so sorry, this is what Dr. Baumia, who said he's a digitalizer, should have known better to protect the interests, the identity theft, security of the Ghanaians, which he failed at. And that is why when at the time somebody was telling you that I prefer Ghana card to 1,000 interchanges, then you realize that that was myopic, because development goes in tandem with security. And so if you do not want to protect the people, but you say you will just take it that way, it allowed for, it gave a leeway for so many people to do so many things to us.
What is the rationale behind the politicization, especially when people also argue that government or governance is supposed to be continued?
That is it. It is the reason why, because he raised a concern not knowing, thinking that it was under President Kufuor that the Ghana card was initiated. And I'm just letting him know. I mean, who said that? Oh, you asked the question. You say you want to know, is it the same Ghana card? Should they play the tape? I can.
And I said Kufuor started what?
I can leave my next 30 seconds for your.
When was the NIA as an institution established?
I am telling you
when
that
was the NIA
we are
as an
referring
institution
to
established?
LI
2111.
Okay, so if
did I even mention LI? Did I even mention LI here? But set your own questions.
Gentlemen, if we want the data, I can give you the information.
On the LI
no, I mean, that was in 2012. That was in 2012.
I didn't. I said, is it the same NIA we started from 2006 that they continue? That is what I said. So I never mentioned LI 2111.
Okay, so what you
set your own questions and
so I'm saying that if you want the data in terms of chronology, we know that this French entity, I mean, the bits of the conversation I had with the NIA executive secretary that designed and all of that, this institution was contacted in 2008, and of course it's a progressive thing. 2012 we talked about the LI, which has been amended, which is the National Identity Register Regulations 2012, the 2111. That was in 2012, and of course we've had conversations around it, and I talked about the major change in terms of the conversation starting from 2025 in March, when they identified the issues with people using the card for fraud, and of course September what the BOG did, and NIA announced BOG eventually issuing supervisory guidelines in October, and the LI maturing. So this is where we are. It started from somewhere. So just to give you the data, please, you can go on and submit.
Thank you.
Finish with your submissions.
So that remains as it is, and therefore for the Ghanaian who is out there, I shouldn't be burdened with going to transact business and being asked, even bring your ID card. It's supposed to be such that even when I mention my name, it should be possible to trace. And you see, we ourselves also need to cultivate the habit of having certain basic things at our fingerprints or constantly with us. People go to banks and they don't even carry their IDs with them, but they expect that. However, should that be the case, there must be a remedy in order to make sure that still you are protected, your safety, because that is what results into the identity theft. Where somebody walks into the bank and says, oh, I left my card behind. Then he finds a photocopy, or somebody may even be there and say, oh, don't worry, just do a photocopy and give to them. And meanwhile, that makes it very impossible to verify properly in order to ensure that what needs to be done is done. And so this is a great step by the NIA. I am happy that with the chronology of things, and even when it came to the factory acceptance testing, which was started from 2015 when the expansion was done, and the factory acceptance in 2016. And then today, I think they have now decided to enhance the features. Maybe, who knows, in the next year or two, there may be need for further enhancement, all in the interest of the Ghanaian. And that is a good thing that we must always applaud them for.
And since we are talking about the financial sector, I want to get your thoughts very briefly on what happened in Parliament yesterday, Mr. Kujo, when the minority in Parliament accused the majority of shielding. Perhaps I can start with yes, just so you get to have more about it. I will start with Mr. Siedu there. Yesterday we had the minority belonging to the MPP, of course, accusing the government and the majority caucus of shielding the Bank of Ghana governor during a vital briefing. Because, you know, their concern was that the media was not allowed to cover this, and as a result of that, there was a walkout, as it were. I mean, we've had the majority tell us that there are also legal instruments that protect certain things from the media, and so perhaps it wasn't necessary for the minority, as it were, to stage that walkout.
We have liars leading us. Lies. The majority, said by the majority leader. This is on the 5th of March 2025. TV3 telecasted live proceedings from Parliament from Governor Esiama and his compatriots at BOG, explaining the cost of the BOG building. What has changed today? You know why the minority is standing on business to ensure that we have this Governor Esiama televised clearly for everyone to see what he's saying. On the 15th of July 2025, Governor Esiama told the entire country and briefed the minority MPs or the Parliamentary Select Committee on Economy that there is no FX intervention on the CD dollar. Today, what is happening? Are we not even paying for that? Are we not paying for that? And we have the same Maham Ayariga who was complaining in 2023 about BOG not even coming to Parliament. You see the inconsistencies, the hypocrisy, and the unprincipled nature of the majority. Then you tend to even ask whether we are living in a country where they only believe in themselves. This is a democracy. It's a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. We vote for our parliamentarians as people representatives. They must represent us. And why is it so difficult that somebody who is paid by the taxpayers' money being called to Parliament and you are being asked that put a camera on you, you are handling the entire country's money, speak to us directly on it. Let us know the current state of the CD dollar, what you are, the amount of money you are using to intervene the market, and you are running away from it. It's because you are having an artificial CD dollar engagement in this country.
You do not agree that as the majority leader stated, the Standing Orders of Parliament, 266 in particular, talks about, unless otherwise determined by the committee, hearings must be held in public. But it was determined by the committee, and therefore it could still be done without the
Beatrice, media. On the 5th of March 2025, your TV station was televising it live. Ask yourself, was it agreed? Where was this law? Ask yourself. Then TV3 must be in trouble today. Where was this law that you are reading today? That is the first question you should be asking the majority leader. You know, Governor Esiama is the same person in the elsewhere government, Mahama government, was hauled in the MPP government before court for 8 good years. The Attorney General finished his case, closed his case, they came to power and had to withdraw the case and acquit him. We have known him. He is not somebody we can credit him with a certain level of credibility in this engagement. Governor Esiama on 15th July told the entire country that there is no FS intervention. Today, what is happening? You spend so much to keep a fake CD dollar equation in this country, and you tell us that we shouldn't put cameras on you.
And you're still making the argument, knowing that Parliament makes its rules and knows which ones to use at which times.
Then it tells you that the NDC are not principled. If on March 5, 2025, NDC was in power and was able to put cameras on Governor Siama, which your station, TV3, was showing it live. And today they cannot do same for the same Ghanaian people that voted them into power. Then these people are not trustworthy.
Do you know
they are criminals.
Do you know the details of the briefing that the governor had to give Parliament? The reason this had to be protected?
The question over here is that tell me which details should be hidden from the Ghanaian people that gave you the mandate and are paying you. Tell me.
But
we give you a job and you tell me that you have a detail that I cannot know. Is that what you are telling me? Can you tell me that when your management over here haul you before a disciplinary committee that explain a certain action, you tell them that you as an employee, that you have certain rudiments of your own and a certain rules of your own, and that you are not going to explain that
you're comparing
to them?
Apples with oranges.
What is apples? Is the governor Asiama not employed by the Ghanaian people? Are they not? Is he not employed by the Ghanaian people?
And his appearance or otherwise in
is he not appearing before the people's representatives?
Orders of Parliament.
But the people over there, the MPs over there, are they not the representatives of the people? And the representatives of the people are saying that if you did that on 5th of March 2025, why can't you do same to the Ghanaian people?
I was asking you a question about the specific details the Bank of Ghana governor. Perhaps let me finish with my question.
The ranking member.
Mr. Seydou, let me finish with my question. So I was asking about the details, which probably could be the reason the committee responsible might have used or stood on the Standing Order of Parliament 266 to say that with this specific information, we do not need the media coverage. Where I'm going with my question is, you would admit that in 2022, I believe, when the CD was rated into the junk state, I mean, it was the worst performing currency. One of the reasons the government said was the trouble we had was because there were too many speculators about the currency is going to do that, is going to do that. And of course, you had the market reacting. You do not think that the information perhaps the governor of the Bank of Ghana was going to give could have caused that sort of speculation, which would eventually cause the market to react and negatively affect Ghana? You do not think so?
You do not think, Beatrice, again, that your employer calling you to explain your actions and you failing to do is even the highest apogee of disrespect to your employer. I'm saying the question Kwejo upon Nkrumah Vincent, the ranking member on the economic committee, was simply asking is that tell us the amount of money you spent in this intervention. Let me tell you, I have a brother who works with Petroleum Commission. During the floods, he was affected. His salary delayed. He had to borrow. But we all got to know that this NDC government, through their finance minister, through their own mechanisms and impediments they are putting up with the ministry, has delayed the release of Garrett. And it is leading to we not even distilling our gutters and all these things, affecting people over there.
Distilling gutters that was
relax,
supposed
I'm coming. I'm building
the floods.
Yes, I'm building a point. Affecting them. Until this happened, we didn't know. Now we want to know. In the same vein, we want to know that you, Governor Siama, you are saying that you are touting there is a stable CD dollar equation or whatsoever they call it. Now we want to know how much money have you spent? We have serious projects in this country that you are not releasing money for. As we speak, not even Ghanaian youth who are MPP, those who are NDC, who are unemployed, are crying more than they believe. They are crying. At least release money to implement your 24-hour economy. If you are spending those huge amounts of money to intervene in the CD dollar market, you don't want the Ghanaian people to know that you are causing them pain. Hey.
Let me get the thoughts of the financial and tax expert here, based on the argument of Kwejo Nkrumah in Parliament, and of course the minority as well. And I'll come to you for your reaction as well.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, when issues of economic and financial discussion comes up, you see our brother politicians attaching so much emotions to it. And when you begin to attach emotions to some of this discussion, then you lose the substance of the discussion. I operate within the financial sector. I have seen that the current governor is one of the efficient, transparent, and ethical governors that we have had in recent time. The reason being that if you look at the time that this governor took over power, the stability that we have enjoyed at the monetary sector, and you compare it to what we have witnessed in the past, you could only draw one conclusion that we have a governor who is actually coming from the background of research, who understand data, and who understand how economics in general function. And so for you to lump the whole government and say, oh, they are, what do you say, liars? Or what?
No, they are lying.
I mean, that is,
For
I think that is,
if you want me to show his own work.
Mr. Said, I think you've had your time. I'll come back to you.
I think that is highly unethical.
Hey,
I mean,
please,
sometimes
please, don't toe that line.
We should try as much as possible.
You should question me on my evidence to it.
Please
don't do that.
To the substance of whatever we are discussing.
You don't come and
now,
use words
I
on me,
think
please.
the discussion yesterday in Parliament does not have anything to do with monetary policy. In any case, anytime Bank of Ghana finished with their MPC meeting, I mean, the presentation of the report is done in the full glare of the public, and you journalists go there to capture. I think the discussion has to do with the evaluation of the Bank of Ghana building. And if you listen to the argument of the majority leader, it was basically about protecting information that is sensitive. We are here discussing about sensitivity of our biometric data and all that. And so, in any case, what I know about parliamentary proceeding is that ministers do appear in parliament as a whole to present whatever they intend to present. However, heads of certain institutions or heads of institutions, they rather meet the committee responsible for their sector, and then the committee will have a discussion with them and eventually present whatever report they have. I don't think that the Parliament asking media guys to actually move out will actually, cast a slur on any information that the governor, intends to present to Parliament. As I said, I am looking at it from the broader macro, stability that we have enjoyed. In fact, when you go to the banking sector, most of the indicators are actually in green. You will see the non-performing loans actually coming down. You will see capital adequacy ratio significantly improving averagely. The MPR is actually at 14%, and we are even projecting that during the next MPC meeting, Bank of Ghana will maintain the policy rate at 14% in order to create room to contain inflationary pressures. And so I think that we need to give credit to the governor. As I did indicate, I have studied the operations of central banking for some time now, not only in Ghana, and I can say for a fact that we have a governor who is efficient and who operates with data, who operates with facts. In any case, you are talking about, people are talking about Bank of Ghana's intervention in the FX market, what you call intermediation. You see, the problem is that when the CD stabilizes, it benefits everybody. Those who are into international business transaction, you and I, the CD is stable, you can go out there and buy imported goods at a very cheap price. And so I don't foresee anything. And in any case, the intervention of the Bank of Ghana was not directly from the reserve of the Bank of Ghana, but rather from the domestic gold purchase arrangement. And so I think that we need to give credit to the governor for at least stabilizing the monetary sector. Now, if you compare Ghana's monetary sector to other peers in the sub-region, you could see that we have enjoyed some relative stability. Inflation is lower, it's within the Bank of Ghana's medium-term target. I think we are now at about 5.3. And our projection...
But it dropped to 3 point something recently.
No, I think it increased for the month of June. In fact, if you look at... we are coming to the discussion of petroleum prices.
Yes.
We don't even foresee inflation to go beyond, 10% by the end of the year, because you could see that at the fiscal level and at the monetary level, there is a clear-cut coordination between the two institutions in order to stabilize the general level of prices. In any case, I'm sure next week, Thursday, the finance minister will be in the parliament to present the mid-year budget review. And I'm sure we'll all gather here to discuss and speak to the figures. And so we need to give the credit to the governor of Bank of Ghana.
Indeed, I'm coming to you, Mr. Kotoko, because the argument of Mr. Siedo is that you're just lying to Ghanaians, even including the fact that the governor said there was not going to be any injection of FX, and eventually we found out there was.
I think, in the first place, he's free to call them liars and criminals, but I do not know what made him think that the majority are liars and criminals. But I take an exception to that. The last time I checked, there was a man who told us to be a proud people, we should be a proud nation, clad in white coat and Bible verses, and the very moment their government left power, he's no longer interested in being Ghanaian and sought refuge in a foreign country. These are people who need to be made accountable for their stewardship, or who need to come and account for their stewardship, and have failed to do so. They've not been able to be bold enough to speak to that and even call them criminals. But today you say that the majority are criminals. What is the double standard here? Your own Edubuahin, is it Edubuahin, the gentleman involved in the NSB?
The National Signals Bureau.
At a point when the proceedings were going on, requested that even some of the hearings be held in camera because he claimed that they were sensitive informations of national interest. And therefore, if a matter of this nature is being discussed similarly, and it said it should be in camera or closed doors, it is not excluding your minority people from being present. They will still be there anyways. So what is this hue and cry over the fact that media people are not there, and therefore it means that you're playing double standards, etc.?
His double standard says that if you had it in March or whatever, why can't you have it now?
That is what I'm telling you. It depends on the sensitivity of the matter at play. And if you listen to my brother very well, you see, you need to be able to, you can compare apples with oranges and conveniently make an argument and say that you're making logic either to yourself or to your listeners, but your listeners will tell themselves later. You even went further to quote a portion of is it a standing order?
Standing order 266.
Which buttresses that. So as and when it is necessary to do so, that is what ought to be done. Unfortunately, you see, we do not have to always be going back to be giving references of when issues of this nature happen and all of that. But I've just given you an example, which is even live as and when in relation to Edubuahin's case in court, when he said that because some of the issues he wants to, it was accepted. So what is the hue and cry over this when the minority, which is just a dot in parliament, has not been denied the opportunity?
Well, how do you mean a dot in parliament?
But I mean, look at the numbers we are talking about.
Was it necessary to add that?
Oh, yeah, but it's a known fact. It's a fact that they are just a dot in parliament. And so the majority is stating a case, making you know that based on ABC, if you have a disagreement that because on the 5th of July, this was the case, you're being told that the governor and the majority defended, letting you know the reasons why that cannot be the case. And then you started screaming, went as far as financial intervention. It is intermediation. They have always misconstrued this and failed to appreciate the purpose of education whenever they are talking of intervention. If in any case that was even the point, let's make it this way. You are the governor of the Bank of Ghana. What is the purpose of the Bank of Ghana? To policy direction and also help the economy, right? So if this was, let's assume that you are just throwing money into the economy. How did they mean they were intervening? So the Bank of Ghana takes money and throws it to Ghanaians. Please take this and spend it so that the city is stabilized. If it was that simple, how come they never saw wisdom in doing anything of this nature in order to cushion the Ghanaians? And we were here and witnessed the economic quagmire they put us in, to the extent that at a point we were referred to as a junk state. And today you want to say that the current governor is not credible? The previous one who took us to a junk state economy is a credible one we should be applauding for. You make mockery of wisdom and some of these things, and the viewer who is watching will be asking, is it the same government that just left office recently when petrol price was this, inflation was that, the CD was so and so to the dollar? What are we talking about? So I don't see the hue and cry over all of this. My brother should tone down. The point is, I understand anyways, but at this point, the minority is not being denied the opportunity to be present in whatever will happen. So even whatever transpires, they have the opportunity to even come and brief you, the media, if they want to. The only thing is to make sure that there is still that transparency in the proceedings over there. Simple as that.
Let me get your thoughts on this.
You know, the parliamentary Hansard is something that's available to the public. Whatever goes on in Parliament is recorded verbatim, and everybody can have access to it. However, there are times when there can be secret sessions or in-camera committee hearings when the matter borders on national security, intelligence briefing, or ongoing confidential defense strategies. From my point of view and from many other people's point of view, managing the economy, more or less, it's an act of war, in a way, because every country, every government, every president, 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 relies on the economy.
Now, states are determined by the strength of the economies.
Exactly, exactly. What we have now is a relatively stable economy. But at the same time, we can admit that the policies are such that they are on stilts. Any little miscommunication, misinterpretation during a live proceeding like that can collapse everything. So if the parliament itself feels that this should be an in-camera meeting, as much as I, as a citizen, would have wanted to know what is there, we have entrusted some powers into our parliamentarians. That is why they are there. Otherwise, we would all be in that gallery, or like the Greek times, we'll all be in the Colosseum, all of us, speaking at the same time. Let's respect that decision. I totally understand where Honorable Opon Nkrumah is coming from. But we also know that they over there, especially Honorable Opon Nkrumah, is somebody that a lot of people admire very much. And I think they should have been there to protect our interests during the in-camera meeting, because sensitive things will be discussed. And if
but we know that the committees are full of both, they are full of the majority and the minority as well.
Exactly.
And the Standing Order 266 that I quoted said, unless the committee really comes in to say that you can't have this in public, then it should be held in camera, which means that the committee would have decided, and the committee consists of both minority and majority.
And majority,
yes.
Exactly. And having this in public, we have other states watching. Every country invariably wants to be the most powerful economically, whether to lord it over other countries or to help other countries. So I think the minority should try and understand where this is coming from. They should avail themselves, because a strong economy will benefit us all.
And Mr. Sedi wanted to respond earlier to Mr. Kujo, and we're having the lawyer also telling us that you should understand.
So let me start with counsel. Counsel, you are saying that on live television, there is a likelihood that people will misinterpret what the governor will say. Really? That everyone is watching and appreciating what he's saying. Did the Ghanaian people misinterpret him when on the 5th of March, TV3 was telecasting it live? Please, at least, we are all reasonable human beings. We'll be watching him. We will understand the amount of money he's putting into intermediate or intervene in the FX market. Dependent on the technical term, LKM is only resting its argument on. Counsel, Senior, you are an expert. We appreciate that. I am not even going to contest that, because probably I do not have what it takes to determine who an expert is. But you appear more LKM than LKM himself. Before saying it, you appear more NDC than you being an expert.
I don't think that's...
No, please. You called me unethical. You were sitting here. You were quiet. Let me explain. Let me explain my point. Let me substantiate it. On the 15th of July, we had our governor of the central bank of this republic telling us that there is no intervention or intermediation in the FX market. It comes out that he did. Is he not a liar?
He said there was no intervention. He never talked about intermediation.
Oh, please, excuse me.
Please,
excuse me. That is why I said, please, let me finish. Let me finish.
Please,
you are talking of an
to
economy with positive macroeconomic indicators. My little economics I learned in UCC will tell you that in economics we have macro and microeconomics. If your macro is positive and you cannot pay the poor nurse, you cannot pay the poor cocoa farmer and others, how do they tend to even feed? Please. This is a governor who was able to sit under live camera to speak to his employers. The Ghanaian people are the employers of this government, to explain what happened in the BOG building, the building they sit in. You are spending so much to intermediate or intervene in the FX market, and simply come and explain the amount you are putting in there, so that we subject you to street proof and tell you that this amount you are putting there is not going to help us, because people are suffering. People are suffering. Were we not in this country where a whole sector minister, cabinet minister, couldn't phone the finance minister to tell him that he should even release money? Are you telling us that we should trust this kind of people? Please, when we speak about this, we shouldn't come in. If you are here to do the bidding of somebody, you can do it without making it so glaring and even insulting the Ghanaian people on top of it. Please.
Okay, and so the arguments, again, moving forward is what exactly?
My argument is very simple, that The representative of the people are over there to hear us. For us not to be hearing an MPP side and the NDC side, we don't have that problem. If the governor on the 5th of March 2025 was able to sit under live camera to explain the cost involved in the BOG building, which we even heard from the then finance minister suggesting to them, the current finance minister suggesting to them to sell and later rent it back or whichever arrangement they will have with it. Why can't he sit there and just explain to us simply that this is the amount of money we've put in to stabilize your city? Just as simple as that. How is that difficult?
Mr. Siedu, the arguments that we've heard both Mr. Kujo and the lawyer make is that based on the kind of information, you want to know how you handle it. How people, there are critics who may argue that telling Ghanaians about how much you spent on a building doesn't necessarily have any implications in terms of the market reacting to it, as compared to telling us exactly where you put how much and how you're managing the economy. You don't think that these are two separate instances that need different treatments?
When the minority has been consistent on the fact that this stabilization is an artificial one, and you have doubted them, why are you afraid to come and explain yourself? Explaining yourself make the Ghanaian people brace themselves very well. Today, fuel prices has increased. Diesel has shot up by 6%. So the poor farmer who was paying 100 cedis for tomato paste or tomato in the market should now be looking for an additional 6 cedis to pay for it. And you are telling us that we are having this intervention and still prices are still going up. Why don't we have that opportunity to appreciate why you spend so much to stabilize the city and left the Ghanaian people or leave the Ghanaian people to suffer?
Let me acknowledge that we've had lawyer Kwame.
Please, I must say do entry.
Both you.
I must say do entry. They should correct my name.
That's fine. We'll put the entry on for you.
And it's hyphenated too.
Okay, we'll put that. I'm sure they're working on it at the back. But lawyer Kwame Nkrumah Boatio has had to take leave of us to attend to other issues. And so, yes, are you done with your submission? So I go to Mr. Kujo to react to what you said.
There is a concept we call efficient market hypothesis. What that concept seeks to explain is that markets, quickly integrate information, whether that information is public information or whether it's a private information. And so, reason why certain institutions like the Bank of Ghana, the Ministry of Finance, and certain strategic economic-related ministries are careful the kind of information they channel because the market will quickly react to it. And so, it is very important that we try as much as possible to, protect those information in order to keep our market, moving. What I was explaining earlier is that anytime we are trying to react to these issues, we should take personal sentiment out of the issue and rather speak to the issue. I never said unethical in relation to you as a person, but I am qualifying what you said to be unethical
but I have
statement.
Described why I made that
statement. And
unless
I went forward.
And
I went forward.
People are asking why you brought them in myself alone. People are asking.
Mr. Siedwentry, I will come to you. I'm saying that a lawyer has left. I've already mentioned that Kwame Nkrumah Boatio, the private legal practitioner, has had to take a leave of us. But please, Mr. Siedwentry, allow him to make his point. When it's your turn, I'll come to you and I'll give you time. Please.
All right. So for us to ascertain whether our economy is truly stable, we have to look at how sustained, we have maintained the gains that we have made. And I've always been saying that if you look at the control environment of this current, administration, the tone at the top, it is all about maintaining the stability that we have chalked because businesses are benefiting. The reason why I describe the governor to be, one of the efficient governors we've had in recent time is because I play within the banking sector. I do a lot of analysis within the banking space to compare numbers and, pronounce judgment on it. If you look at the total percentage or amount of credit expansion to the private sector, it will shock you to know that credit has expanded well above 15%, just because we have had a very stable regime of lending rate, which is very, very important because the banking sector, of course, is the engine that fuels the economy. And so when you have a stable, highly liquid, banking sector, you expect the banking sector, the financial system in general, to finance your your economy. And so if you look at the gains that we have chalked as at the end of December 2025 down to June 2026, you could just draw one conclusion that the macroeconomic figures have remained largely, stable. And this is as a result of the work that Governor Isiama is doing at the Bank of Ghana. And I also mentioned that we have seen some level of coordination of effort in terms of what the Ministry of Finance does and that of the Bank of Ghana. And so once we attach emotion to some of this explanation, then we lose the substance of the discussion. In any case, we are waiting next week for the finance minister to tell us the policies that they have implemented since 2025 December to date to sustain the gains that we have made.
Okay, I want to come to you again, Mr. Kotoko, on your thoughts.
Yeah, well, like I said early on, the governor is one of the most credible, effective, and efficient ones we've had in history. Looking at what the Ghanaian is even benefiting alone, considering that you're even a layman who does not even appreciate the numbers, etc. What does that translate to the average Ghanaian on the street, etc.? When prices of items are low, when businesses are transacting and know that, you see, it is,
Please allow him to make his point. I'll come to you after him.
What inflation means. I have even had them many times say that, are you saying inflation is down, yet prices of things are increasing? Inflation is not telling you that prices of items will not increase, unless it is deflation we are talking about. Inflation is only telling you that prices are still increasing though, but at a very decreasing rate, or at such a rate. And so if the Ghanaian is benefiting from that today, compared to what the situation was in the past, why would one suggest that at this point in time, the governor is not doing his job well, is not doing his stuff well, and then we'll just rather be screaming that there's intervention, or what's the name, pumping money and all of that. If it was, I always keep saying, even if that was the case, let's assume, so it was that easy and you couldn't have done this one to let the Ghanaian be cushioned? Because the purpose of the existence of the Bank of Ghana is existing for the Ghanaian. Monetary policy, and also, you see, so you are supposed to manage and you couldn't do these ones. But then suddenly you are screaming on rooftops trying to say all this. I think that the minority, they may have a case, a concern, but it has genuinely been addressed as to why that cannot be done. However, it does not take out the fact that whatever transpired, that ought to be made known to the public. Your party, the minority, the dot in the parliament that I referred to them, not to make sarcasm of. Well, because you know it is. They will definitely come out, and they still have a voice anyway. You know, it is the reason why there's a scramble for voice in the
minority has caused you to sit here this morning to be
speaking. They are not calling them. Whether they spoke or not, we would have still been here to deliberate on other matters. And that is the beauty of democracy. It tells you that as minute as they are still recognizable, they are still respected, they are still revered. That is why their voice is being heard. So why even the hue and cry? I keep asking.
I want to come to you now, Mr. Seadoentwi. How do you describe a governor under whose leadership we have seen strong recovery per data, expanding, as in Ghana's economy, expanding by 6.4% in the first quarter. Inflation, as we talked about, rising from 3.7% to now 5.3% as of June. And the general understanding around inflation is that it had been stabilized over a period. And also the cedi has maintained some sort of stability against the US dollar, of course, with a recent increment in fuel, prices that we're going to go into, indicating that we've had a slight depreciation of it. That's about 0.56%. How do you describe somebody who has, under whose leadership, we've seen all these as somebody who is not credible?
So, Beatrice, how would you even describe such a governor who you are touting his records? And
I'm just asking you based on
away from sitting and being put, a camera being put on him to explain himself. How is that difficult? You have listed a lot of records he has. I'm not even going to contest that. Why is this so difficult with a man with so many records you are touting this morning to sit and explain that instead of paying nurses, instead of paying teachers who have been demonstrating on the street, I am putting so and so amount to stabilize the city for you? How can such a governor sit under camera Such a governor, you on the 5th of March 2025 was able to sit and explain about the building of Bank of Ghana. Was it for propaganda purposes? Such a governor who, after his audited report, didn't forward it to the finance minister, but saw the need to give it to NDC propagandists to stay in parliament. Those who were not even MPs. My brother, who is the Northeast Regional Communications Director, was in parliament to speak on BOG matters for the governor, such a governor. And you say we shouldn't put camera on him to explain why he can't pay teachers, why he can't pay nurses, and he's running away from explaining why he's putting so much money to stabilize the city to see young teachers, poor teachers, like Anne-Marie from Equiase, who teaches at Nyafumai, to struggle to even feed. Why can't we do that? You've touted a lot of records. Yeah, he has the records. I'm not even contesting it. Let him sit and explain why he cannot sit down and explain to the Ghanaian people that I have placed so and so amount of money and I've not paid you. And when I was even audited in 2025, I chose not to forward my audit report to the finance minister as the law requires, but decided to give it to NDC propagandists to speak to it before I give it to the finance minister for him to forward it to parliament. Why can't he do that? Answer that.
You're making this argument.
That.
I'm not the governor of the Bank of Ghana.
But you were touting his records.
I just gave you data based on what has been done.
You see, you should start from Elikem so that I come and rebut some. You start from me. He does it. He's speaking for the governor. He's speaking for the governor. And Elikem keeps you to support. What is all? We have been in this business when somebody
Mr. Sedentry, respectfully, I already introduced him as a finance.
For introduction, tomorrow I'll bring you another finance expert.
Spoken about the fact that he deals within the finance sector. But back to my question, which I haven't asked of you yet, and after that I'll come to you before I come to him. You're making this argument disregarding the fact that information regarding where you put money and how is more sensitive than how much you spent on a building of the central bank.
You see, you keep on clouding this conversation around sensitivity from the employers.
That matters?
What matters over here? That you have not paid me as a teacher. I've employed you, I pay taxes to you, and you are being paid. You get the opportunity to enjoy huge sums of money, and you are putting so much money to stabilize CD whilst I suffer. Please. Why can't you explain that?
Let me get your thoughts.
We have, you see, let me end on that.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana.
The CSOs in this country, the experts whatsoever, are needed to build this country. But when it becomes a one-sided one, we suffer as a country. Please, keep the conversation so balanced. Why can't we have a CSO who would be putting the governor in check?
He's saying that the governor doesn't have any excuse to be giving information in
you are coming to speak English.
His argument is that if a CSO doesn't speak in line with
I said he should keep it balanced. I never said that. Please, I never. Don't put words in my. I know you.
If a CSO doesn't say something that is in tandem with what you assume to be right, it means the CEO is not doing what is balanced. I mean, when did this become the case? And again, is this the first time in the history of this country that a head of an institution is going to parliament and they've requested that the engagement be held within closed doors? There has been 1,001 of these. So why this sudden, and it's as if, and you see, you want to try hard to put mud on the governor for absolutely no reason without telling us what he has even done wrong. We are happy. Ghanaians are enjoying what is going on with the governor. Ghanaians are enjoying what the economy is. We are no longer a laughingstock of the world. We are no longer a junk status. We are no longer a junk economy. We have really suffered as a people. And so today, if things are going on well, and we have repeated over and over, your members of parliament are also going to be there. They are not being denied representation in there. But it's like, why won't he be able to answer to, why can't he be? He is answering to your representatives even in the parliament. So what is this? I'm so lost.
It's simply to prevent an MPP-sided story and an NDC side.
But Mr. Sedwentry, it's not your time. But again, when I was speaking with the lawyer, I did say that the committees in Parliament are represented by both the majority and the minority.
That is not in dispute. If you know that,
but let him finish with points.
You question me.
No.
I'm explaining myself.
Yes, I will let you.
Today is 2 against. It was even 3 against 1. Now it's 2 against 1.
I don't. That's again. That's not a fair statement to make. I'm just saying that hold on. When it is your time, I allow you to talk.
But you should know where the conversation is going. You brought me in. I was responding, and you want. I shouldn't respond. I shouldn't respond.
Let him finish.
Don't bring me
I will come to you.
Don't bring me in. I think I don't have much to say, but now rather conclude that I understand why time and over again the MPP shows up on the show. Then later they claim they boycott. Then they find a way softly to come over. Then they boycott.
That one you bring to
Please conclude.
You are back on it.
So,
gentlemen,
because we have maintained.
Please, shall we have some order here? Please finish with your thoughts, and then I'll come to you.
We have maintained that.
It's not helpful for us to be interjecting conversations. Please speak to the issue.
A lot of rot occurred in the past regime. There's a lot of opacity. There was, even in the past. Now, this issue in particular we are referring to, nobody is being denied the ability to participate. Even you in the media, who are supposed to be the ones crying that, why are you doing this to us? You are not saying so, because you understand this. Then now, this is a clear case of rather crying more than the bereaved. The media is not crying wolf. They are not suspecting anything malicious. They understand that state matters. Look, in this world today, information is actually currency. Information is stronger currency than even your actual currency. That is, the world is trading on current information now. So when at the point in time your economy is doing very well, you expect that certain things that may be sensitive, certain things that ought to be known only by the Ghanaians. Look, it may even shock you that even the committee, they could meet. And again over there, they may say this person had some interest and for which reason we do not think that he needs to be present or that. And that would hold. So I don't know why. I thought that it is not everything. The only thing I would say is it is not everything that you must oppose because you are an opposition. You should be able to say, oh, we think we understand this. It makes the Ghanaian even know that, oh, this MPP really, you get it.
Mr. Sedwentry, I do not like how you're interrupting people. And I think I've tried to tell you in several ways that when people are talking, allow them to talk. When it is your time, I'll come to you. It is disrespectful to the viewers and to what we're trying to achieve. Please, he's done. You now have the floor. And then I'll come to you. And that would be actually the final word on this, and then we'll move into the fuel conversation.
I want to retract what I said on criminals. I think it was a harsh word, and I retract and apologize on that. But for the liars, I maintain it because I was able to.
They told you they were going to take you on, eh?
No, we were in this country. We were in this country when the Attorney General did a press conference, labeled Hanan as a criminal. And so, what is the big deal about it?
Yes, but
I understand
how to defend.
I understand it.
If you can defend,
but I said I retract that. So
Mr. Sedwentry has the floor. Go ahead.
The point I keep on making is very simple. This constitution that guides all of us gives power to the people. It is part of the power given to the people that has been given to Parliament and whoever is captured in this constitution, including all those who are enjoying executive authority, legislative authority, and judicial authority. All that I'm saying is very simple, that if we employ you, then you are duty bound to speak to us, engage us, let us appreciate what is happening. There are young teachers in the villages. In my beloved hometown of Equiase, when you go to Equiase, move to Nyafoma and Noyem and all those areas, they are not being paid. Last Saturday, I was in the constituency to vote, and they were complaining that, Aaron, you have stopped speaking about this. I told them that I will be back on TV3 to speak for them, and that the governor is spending huge sums of money to stabilize city. Beatrice, go to some villages. If you leave Equiase, you go to the areas, Kotia, Boashwa, Emobo, and all those areas. They have not even seen $1 before. Probably the effect of the stabilization might affect them. But when they have their child, and they've spent a lot of money on their child to go to teacher training, and that child has not been paid, Until now, all we hear is that we are spending huge sums of money to stabilize the cedi that cannot even pay them. What are you telling them? And the governor is running away.
I want to get your final thoughts on this, and really looking at the arguments that have been made, on this panel, and indeed what we heard the members of parliament say yesterday. Could things have been done better moving forward? What do we need to do?
Well, as I did indicate, I am an analyst and I speak to figures. And to the extent that I am commending the governor for stabilizing the economy is based on the figures that I work with on a daily basis. Please don't interrupt. Okay. And based on the figures that I work with on a daily basis. And I also made mention of the fact that when you stabilize an economy, the larger benefit doesn't go to only individuals in the economy, but even businesses benefit a lot from the economy. And I also made mention that if you compare where we were in the past as a country in terms of our economic performance, and you compare to where we are today, you could give credit to the Bank of Ghana governor for actually championing the turnaround of the economy. And so using all kinds of words, I don't think that is, the proper thing to do. In any case, the governor appearing before parliament and minority demanded that he present whatever information he has publicly, and the majority also saying that no, he should rather meet a committee. I think we should just find a balance somewhere. The most important thing that the information is given to the people of Ghana, and I'm sure the governor, of course, is not running away from that presentation. And I also made mention of the fact that economic, performance is not an event; it's a process. And the mandate of the Bank of Ghana is clearly enshrined in the Bank of Ghana Act 2002. And if you read Section 3 of that act, it stipulates clearly that the primary mandate of the Bank of Ghana is to maintain price stability. It is not the responsibility of the Bank of Ghana to be paying nurses' salary and to be paying teachers' salary, but it has a specific, well-documented and codified mandate that they are supposed to perform. In the quest of the Bank of Ghana to perform that mandate, they would use certain tools that certainly to, achieve that primary mandate. And one of them is their FX intervention. And sometimes if we don't understand the topics, we need to seek for clarification. Bank of Ghana, no, I'm not referring to you. Bank of Ghana is not using their reserve position to intervene in the market, but they are doing that through their domestic gold purchase program. And the benefit is inuring to everybody. As I did indicate, we have one of the sound banking sector currently in Ghana because there are 23 banks in Ghana. If you check the financial performance of each of the banks, you will realize that most of them are doing very well. In any case, we are now currently in a regime of declining lending rates. And the governor made mention of the fact that he expects to see lending rate to go down to single digit in the near future, which means that we are looking at credit expansion to the private sector, for private sector to create the needed jobs that we need. And so I don't think the governor not presenting before the full house or presenting in front of committee will change anything. The most important thing is that we have a governor, as I did indicate earlier, who is efficient, who is credible, and who is turning around the monetary sector.
Let me ask you this before I go to the other panel members. And moving to the fuel price increment, I did say that we are expecting some marginal increase because of a number of factors, including a slight depreciation of the cedi against the dollar, 0.56%. How do you expect this to impact the cost of living? Already, yes, inflation may be low, might have risen even from 3.7 to now 5.3. The cost of living is still very high in Ghana.
Well, I think I will not share in that opinion that the cost of living is high. I think I wouldn't use that expression. Price, I've always been saying that when you want to test the temperature of an economy, just go to the pumps. When the pump prices are increasing, it means that will translate into transportation prices, that will translate into food prices, and that will, in fact, the general level of prices will increase.
But you know that consistently, the Ghana Statistical Service, when it brings out its data, food inflation is high.
No,
we have real estate accommodation.
Maybe you have to recheck. Maybe you have to recheck. Your data. We have one of the lowest food inflation currently, in Ghana. What is actually driving the marginal increase in inflation is the non-food inflation, but not food inflation. So what I'm saying is that the prices at the pump are increasing marginally just because of what we are experiencing in the Middle East. I mean, if prices, crude oil prices are increasing, technically you expect that to also, translate into pump prices. And again, if you don't manage your economy well and your CD begins to depreciate, it also translates into, fuel, increase in fuel prices. In terms of its implication, of course, yes, businesses will suffer because at the end of the day, their operational costs will increase. The purchasing power of individuals and households will also decrease because I bought fuel this morning at 12.79 Ghana cedis. In any case,
Ron 91.
12.79 Ghana cedis per liter. Even MPA has brought the what's the name, the price floor for the month of July. It has increased, so I bought it at 12.79, now it will be 13.28. That is for petrol. Diesel is 13.54. It will increase marginally to 14.35. LPG is at 10.11 Ghana cedis, and it will increase to 10.19 Ghana cedis. Now, if you compare these prices to what we witnessed in the past, we were buying fuel in Ghana at 17 Ghana cedis, 18 Ghana cedis, in the past.
Let me take you to the food inflation. It's actually risen. As of June, it was 3.9 year on year, rising from 3.3% month prior.
All right. So again, the general level of prices is still within the single digit. That is the fundamental thing that we need to appreciate. So the question has to do with the implication of these oil pump prices on the cost of living. And I am saying that, of course, businesses will feel the heat, households will feel the heat, individuals will feel the heat. You and I, as salary workers, our purchasing power will also go down. But on a general level, I think that we don't expect inflation to go beyond the Bank of Ghana's medium-term target of 8% plus or minus 2. Our prayers should be that the uncertainties in the Middle issue actually calm down, because once that reduces, it is going to translate directly into pump prices at the oil prices at the pump. Now, you remember recently when at the height of the war, government gave us a 1 month subsidy, fuel subsidy. Was that enough? Can the government continue to do that? I think no, because that was not sustainable. Because if you quantify the amount of losses that accrue to the government doing that program was a lot. That money could have been diverted into some other profitable, social intervention program. And so I think that as a country, we must try as much as possible to increase our domestic refinery capacity. I mean, we are all happy that my oil refinery is doing very well now. And we are also aware that Centro is also coming on board. And so we only pray that the capacity that they are refining will increase in order to curtail the increase in the prices at the pump.
Mr. Sedentry.
So expert was quick enough to go back and compare certain fuel prices under the MPP. But unfortunately, with regards to the cushion that the government brought, which was only for a month, he was not quick enough to remind Ghanaians that during the Kufuor's era, we had 2 months of that cushion when there was the Russia-Ukraine war. That is fine for him. He chooses the numbers he wants to present, and I have no issue with that. Beatrice, this morning, diesel has increased for about 6%, right? If the figure is right. 6%. It simply means that if you were buying tomato, a gallon or a bucket of tomato for 100 Ghana cedis, you should be looking for 6 Ghana cedis or whichever the figure is to add to it. Unfortunately, it means in the next 2 days, prices of goods and services are going to increase because those who go in to bring these goods to their shops for us to purchase are going to pick various vehicles, which price fares will now increase and will affect them.
Let me give you the data you're asking for.
Okay.
And so, of course, upwards adjustment by 3.8% for petrol and 6.0% for diesel.
So precisely, I was
now petrol is increased by 49 pesos. And diesel increased by 81 pesos.
So I made a comparison that the simple understanding is that if it is a 6% increase and you are buying tomatoes for 100 Ghana cedis, then you need to find an extra 6 cedis in the next 2 days to pay for it. The sad thing is that this is going to affect 3 sectors of our economy. The formal one, the informal one, and I even bring a last category, the unemployed ones. And you know the unemployed ones, those that is going to affect very devastating is the NDC food soldiers. With the former one, we've heard our vice president telling us that I'm coming. Let me build upon it, and I'll tell you why I say the NDC food soldiers. The formal sector, we've heard our vice president telling us that there is no intention to even increase salary in the next year. So for them, their own salary, the peanuts they have been feeding on, they have to now squeeze themselves and make sure that they make provision for this 6% increase in diesel. Now come to the informal sector. For you are waiting for those informal sector to get money to come and purchase. So you go, the prices has increased, and unfortunately, you do not even get buyers because their purchasing power now comes down. Now to the NDC food soldier I'm mentioning, for them they see that their colleagues are even being given jobs. Their colleagues are even being given jobs, and others who did not even suffer for power get jobs. The last time, Honorable Samuel Ewuku told us that the Gold Board Jewelry CEO, who is a public officer, has now been appointed again as board chair for Ghana Tourism Authority, whilst the law is saying that it should be a private person. Why should a public officer be given such position? For him, he has the money to purchase and cater for this 6%. Ask Elikem Kotoko, who sits at Forestry Commission, that food soldiers are coming to him directly. They have been attacking him on Facebook.
And if you could be wrapping up
People are going to suffer with this 6%. We are begging them that if you are spending so much to stabilize the CD and you are afraid to even appear on live TV and under cameras to speak to it, it is now time you find a cushion for the Ghanaian people.
Mr. Kotoko, and that will be your final word, and we'll wrap up, please.
I'm finding it difficult to understand the economics my brother is showing us this morning.
But you would like
and I mean, it is undeniable, however, that whenever there's going to be a fuel price increase, there will definitely be an impact. But you see, sometimes he jumps over one to the other. And because of that, I want to make some clarity also on another he raised before, that Garrett funds were not released by the finance minister. Let's do the analysis. $350 million. You had disbursed, was it 127, of which over 60 million was reallocated for COVID, 11 million or so for training or whatever, 22 for consultancy or for cars and all that. This government came into power and finance minister has given out 125 million. How much is left again to give anyways? So let's not go there and just be throwing figures out and make it look as though this is rather a government that feels that having given out that, let us now sit back, look carefully at what was done, what proper mitigation measures the funds were taken were used for. And it came out that was a pittance was what was used for the real mitigation. Now, with petrol price increase, etc., my brother should be the last person to speak on this because they do not have the moral fiber to utter a word on this. Till date, the prices of fuel continue to be better than when you were managing it under a so-called economic messiah who was just an economic mess. So if today the Ghanaian, I don't know how come suddenly you now know that Ghanaians suffer with 3.8%. When these prices increase, mind you, when there's a government that has a good will of the people, you engage other stakeholders, there's bound to still be stability over this. The GPRTU or etc. have not announced yet that based on these, they are going to actually effect a price increase. Already you have done some calculation from your bedroom to assume that it means that from tomorrow, the 6% translates to mean that the market woman is going to add an extra 6 cedis, this person is going to add an extra. It doesn't work like that. There could even probably be price increases for the next 2-3 windows. But if the stakeholders realize that it also still ensures stability and it is in the good of all and does not need any corresponding appreciation, they may not even want anything of that because they understand. Government has even given a cushion. NPA is saying that, okay, the price floor was at so and so. We have now increased in order to take off the cushion. And have you heard the drivers complaining? The reason is because
no, please, our time is up. Please, land on your thoughts for me. Let me wrap up.
Oh, you're wrapping up. It's because they all know that what this government is doing is something that is very great for them and in their own interest. I would want to just conclude by commending again President Mahama and Minister Amabua for the lands and natural resources. The EI
EI 144.
Bringing back Achimota as forest reserve.
Has been restored, and that's a significant achievement, because you recall, and there are certain Sir John, he was just willing the whole forest to people all over.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Elikem Kosoko, Deputy CEO, Forestry Commission, thank you very much for joining us. I've realized a number of you have sent us your messages. We're unable to attend to them. Landlord Bolga D Line, Aziz Dollar, Kaliuman, all of you, thank you very much for your messages. Also want to say a big thank you to you as well, Mr. Nelson Kujo, a finance and tax expert, for joining us, and as well to you, Mr. Aaron Esiedwentri, NPP National Communications Team Member. Thank you for joining us. Earlier, we had with us Mr. Kwame Nkrumah Botiu, private legal practitioner, also joining us and sharing his legal perspectives with us. I want to say a big thank you to Pamoni Clothing in East Legon in Accra for my costume this morning. Again, I'm reminding you that the big issue is sponsored by the University of Gold Coast. Now, whether you're aiming for a specialist MBA in marketing, communication, operations, supply chain, human resource management, finance, entrepreneurship, innovation, or business intelligence analytics, or you just want to advance through a dual MBA or chartered manager MBA, University of Gold Coast gives you options that match your vision. And if your next step is an MSc in International Relations, Communication, International Marketing, International Law, Security, Diplomacy, Accounting, Finance, or Human Resource Management, an LLM in International Law, Security, Diplomacy, or an MA in Biblical Studies, Practical Theology, the pathway is open. Apply today, because at the University of Gold Coast, we make it practical, flexible learning, flexible entry, and flexible payment. Study around your work and life and choose a route that fits your background, and also pay in convenient installments. Your dream deserves structure, your future deserves strategy, your purpose deserves training. Apply now, www.ugc.edu.gh. Call or WhatsApp now on 026 388 8555. University of Gold Coast, building leaders for the nations. My name is Beatrice, and when we come back, we'll bring you the latest in sports and some more. Do stay with us on TV3 Newday.